Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome. And today we have a guest that I've never met before. He knew my dad, and we're not going to get into a long history here, but when we connected, how did we connect, Ray? How did you find me in the show, or did I find you?
I think you found me through ARIA, Association of Rhode Island Authors.
Yes, okay, and that's how we connected. And he let me know, my dad has passed away, but he let me know that he knew my dad and worked with him for AAA, and Dad was a sales rep. And I was like, oh my God.
I was his supervisor.
You were his supervisor. I mean, it's a small world.
It is.
And he was kind enough to bring a 1995 sales bulletin that mentioned Dad was third from the top, the President's Club, and then there was another one Dad was in. So, you know, Pop, if you're up there watching, this is awesome. I mean, there are no coincidences. We have Ray Wolf with us today, and Ray he's an author as well as a tour guide. If you're familiar with Scituate, Rhode Island, which I'm not, but I know parts of Rhode Island, this is pretty fascinating. Tell us how you got into. Show us the books that you've written and what it's all about.
Well, it all begins with my mom passing away in 2005.
That's when my mother passed away.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And both from Rockland, which is amazing.
Rockland, Mass.
Rockland, Mass. My mom's from Rockland, Rhode Island,
Yeah.
for heaven's sakes.
What month?
October
November
24th.
22nd, maybe?
Wow. Well, when my mom passed away and I was cleaning out her house, I found 2 suitcases, the kind you take on a plane and you put under a seat,
Yeah.
full of handwritten poems. Now, I knew she wrote a lot of poetry because she had a lot published in the local paper, the Patuxent Valley Daily Times. And anytime she was down in the dumps, I'd say, Mom, write me a book about my 63 T-bird. Or write me a book about President Kennedy.
Yeah.
Or anything, and it'd just keep her busy. So I knew she wrote a lot of poetry. I didn't know that she wrote 1,700 poems. I knew she wrote a lot of poetry, but I didn't know she wrote 1,700 poems.
1,700?
1,700. So as I started reading them, I started categorizing them. And I put these over here about her family. Mm-hmm. I put these over here about her mom living in her village of Rockland. Mm-hmm. I put these over here about Elvis because she loved Elvis.
She loved it. How old was she when she passed?
94 and a half.
Oh, you've got great longevity.
Yeah. And then I put another pile over here of Jesus. She loved Jesus. She wrote a lot of poetry about Jesus. And I had all these poems about her growing up in this village of Rockland. It is no longer. It's under the Scituate Reservoir.
How did that happen?
In 1915, the General Assembly passed a law creating the City of Providence Water Supply Board. They gave them the power of eminent domain. And they ended up condemning 14,800 acres.
What about the people living there?
We're taking your farm, we're going to build a reservoir.
Did they pay these people?
They did. No one thought they got what they should.
Sure.
But the main thing is they didn't want to move in the first place.
No.
So their fathers had lived there. Their grandfathers probably built the place. So people did not want to move. They couldn't understand how someone could come in and take their property and say, well, you got to leave.
Yeah.
And so I had all these poems about her growing up in this village. And I said, these should be in print. So I put together a book called The Lost Village of Rockland. It was all about her village, and it would have a picture of the Rockland Mill where her dad worked with the Rockland Mill poem.
Yeah.
The schoolhouse where she lived, went to school, and the schoolhouse poem. For a year and a half, I went from publisher to publisher to publisher, trying to get somebody to publish it. If you are not published in poetry, they do not want to talk to you. It's ridiculous. It's a catch-22 situation.
Really?
Yes. So I have a book called Scituate, made by Arcadia.
Oh, that's your camera right there. Hold
Okay.
that right up there.
By Arcadia Publishing.
What's the name of it again?
The one that I had was Scituate.
And this is?
This is The Lost Villages of
The
Scituate.
Lost Village. I want to read that one.
Okay.
It sounds like a mystery, and I love it.
So what I did was I took it out of my file,
Yeah.
I flipped it over, and I said, okay, let me try these guys.
Right.
So I contacted them. They said, send it in. So I said, okay. And they said, we'll get back to you. And they did. And they said, well, 2 things. One, we don't do poetry. And I said, so what else is new?
Yeah.
And second, they didn't think there was enough audience for just Rockland. But if I wanted to do something on all 5 villages, they might be interested.
There, you did it.
Bingo. after I got done doing the Lost Villages, it was kind of logical to do the sequence called the Scituate Reservoir, about building the reservoir.
Right.
So this is, each book has 220 pictures in it, with captions under each one, explaining what's what, the introduction, everything like that I do.
Yeah.
When I got done with that, I wanted to get my village, Hope, into one of these books.
That's where he's from, Hope.
Hope, Rhode Island. It's a little village in the town of Scituate. It's below the dam, so it didn't get flooded.
It's nowhere near Hope Valley that I go through on Route
None
91.
whatsoever. That's at the other end of the state.
Okay.
Yep.
Are you closer? Is Hope closer to Massachusetts than?
It's about in the center of the state.
All right. Okay.
Yep. It's a little west of Providence, but it's about in the center of the
Oh,
state.
yeah.
Yep. So I wanted to get Hope into one of these books, so I created a book called Valley of the Patuxent.
Yeah.
Kind of like Valley of the Kings.
Yeah.
And submitted it. And they rejected it.
Why?
Because they had done the Patuxent Valley back in 1997, which I knew they did.
Yeah.
But I figured by 1911, by 2011 when this would come out, 10, 11 years, good time for an update.
Yeah.
But they said it didn't sell very well. Now, they didn't know if it was the area or if it wasn't written well. I'm not doing this, but I've had so
gotcha.
many people
I mean,
tell me it was not written very well.
I work as a publicist for authors. I hear you.
Yep. So they said, however, we don't have anything on West Warwick. If you'd like to do something on West Warwick, we'd be interested.
So you did that?
So therefore,
You
we
did-
got West Warwick.
That's the next one. Now, don't tell me they gave you the business again. I mean, they told you that wasn't going to sell.
No. And you see, my theory was, if West Warwick sold great, then I would come back with
I don't believe this is great.
the Patuxent Valley Villages.
Did it?
Yes.
So you went like that.
So it wasn't the area.
Yeah.
It had to be the way it was written.
Yeah.
So I got my hope in it follows the Patuxent River. There's a north branch of the Patuxent River and a south branch.
Mm-hmm.
So it follows the north branch of the Patuxent River from Hope all the way down to Natick.
Yeah.
And then all the way up the south branch to Washington.
Natick, Massachusetts?
Natick, Rhode Island.
There's a Natick, Rhode Island?
It's
Where
in
have I been?
Coventry.
It's in Coventry?
Yes.
It's a burg of Coventry.
Coventry, Rhode Island.
So
it's a village.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
Yep.
Sort of like Northbridge, we have Whitensville and Linwood and Rockdale, and it's all part of Northbridge.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Natick is actually in West Warwick.
Okay, I see you say Natick to me, and I'm thinking up the street near
Right.
Boston. Okay,
Right.
yeah.
So I got Hope in one of the books.
How'd that go?
Very well. Very well. So after I got done that,
They must have been eating their words by now.
I'm sorry. Actually, after I did West Warwick, I was at the Forster Historical Society doing a presentation on my West Warwick book.
Yeah.
When I got done, the vice president, Ed Robinson, said, "Mr. Wolf, have you ever thought about doing a book on Forster?" And I said, no. And he said, well, we've got 5,000 pictures on the computer. I said, holy mackerels, I could make a book out of that. However, when I committed to it and then went to the society to dig out all these photos, they had 50 pictures. Because people bring their photograph
Yeah.
to the society,
Sure.
they scan it into the computer, and they give it back.
This was gold to you.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, Arcadia won't take anything off the computer. I have to have the original picture.
Oh, God, how'd you do that?
I have to scan it to their specifications.
Yeah.
They won't take a JPEG. It has to be TIFF, so on and so on. So I'm saying, okay, I've got a problem here. So what I did was, is a little newspaper that comes out in Forster called the Forster Home Journal.
Yeah.
And I called Carol, the one that is the editor, and I said, I'd like to put an article in. I'm doing a book on Forster. Hi, Ray Wolf here, doing a book on Forster. Anyone has any old pictures, photographs, documents, you want to get them recorded in history, give me a call. I had 15 families call me.
And voila.
Voila, the
book. Now
Forster book.
That's the Foster book.
That's the Forster book. Okay?
How long did it take you to put this together?
It takes me about a year from the time I come out with a title
Yeah.
to the time I have the book in my hands.
Okay, did that sell well?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yep. Then I went back to the Patuxent Valley.
You went right around.
Yeah.
What about these previous people who were giving you a hard time? Did they finally wake up and realize?
Let me put it another way.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
At Arcadia Publishing in Charleston, South Carolina, they love me.
Yeah.
I have sold personally and through my outlets over 5,000 books.
Through North Carolina?
No, in Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have sent them out to 33 different states.
But the publishing company is in North Carolina.
Correct. Yes.
And who's working on? Are you your own publicist? Who gets the word out? How do you get to events and get out there face to face?
I belong to 6 historical societies.
Yeah.
I belong to the Association of Rhode Island Authors. I attend all kinds of bazaars at Christmas time. Any events coming up, like the Centennial for the West Warwick event, was a 3-day event. I do the Situate Art Festival. That's a 3-day event. I'm all over the place. I speak at libraries. I speak.
That's it.
TV, wherever.
Yeah,
I'm everywhere.
Have you thought of getting on with Buddy Cianci there in Providence?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, well, I listen to him. Of course, I listen to Jordan Levy here in Worcester. Buddy, he's quite a guy.
Yeah, I listen to him occasionally too.
I lived in Providence for a while.
Yep.
So I can't believe all these books. Looking at all of these, how many years are you talking about, Ray?
2009 was my first one.
So we're
now I did do 2 in 1 year.
2 in 1 year?
Forster and Patuxent Valley. The reason being is, when I was doing West Warwick, and I was getting pictures to do West Warwick, I'd say, wow, that's a great picture for West Warwick. Whoa, that's a great picture for Patuxent Valley. Oh, that's a great picture for West Warwick. So when I got done with West Warwick, I had Patuxent Valley about 80% done.
It's like a blending.
Yes. Well, actually, this completes the story.
Show the camera. Coventry is the last.
Coventry, Patuxent Valley Villages, and West Warwick covers the whole entire area thoroughly.
Well, our audience is internationally online. It's not just local here. And people here, if you're watching from Rhode Island, and the history of it in this area fascinates you. Ray, how do they get in touch with you?
2 things. Either my website, which is www.raywolf.com.
That's W-O-L-F.
raywolfbooks.com.
No E at the end.
No E on Wolf and S on Books.
And that's
my email is thewolf@cox.net, which is TheeWolf@cox.net.
COX.net.
Yes.
Right, okay. Yeah, that's good to get that out there, because a lot of people, if they're in the Rhode Island area, especially, or on the border, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, a lot of people have relatives. I mean, what better way?
Can I read one of my mom's
Go
poems?
for it. Yeah,
Okay.
This is one of his mother's poems.
This is called The Old Schoolhouse, and my mom wrote this. This is the first poem she ever wrote. She was 12 years old when she wrote it, and she wrote it on the blackboard of her school as they were tearing it down.
This was about what year, do you think?
This would have been, she was 12 years old, be 1922.
Okay.
It was a very sad day when we were told they were building a reservoir and our school would be sold. A man came one day, nailed up a sign for all to see. The sign read condemned. It meant heartbreak for me. It was then we were told an auctioneer would come one day to auction off the old schoolhouse, to be torn down and taken away. Then the day arrived. The auction took place. The people began to bid. Tears rolled down my face. Going, going, gone, the auctioneer cried, and on that fateful day something within me died. The old schoolhouse at Rockland now is used no more. We hear no more footsteps walk across the floor. I'll come back now and then to reminisce and see, but the old schoolhouse at Rockland will be just a memory.
And how old was she?
12 years old.
Oh, that's good.
Now, years later, every one of my books, by the way, opens up with one of her poems.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
She didn't know this, so she didn't know.
No. This happened all after she passed away.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
He's passed away.
Okay, but did he have any idea that you were going to do this?
No.
So nobody, even children, nobody knew in your family that you were going to do this? Like an honor to her.
My mom and my kids.
That was it. Everybody's, that they don't.
Right.
But what a great way to carry it on.
Yep. Years later, and by the way, she lived to 94 and a half. She never got over her village being destroyed.
Yeah.
I don't know what date she wrote this, but this is called the Situate Reservoir.
Okay.
The land was condemned, the people were told. Everyone felt sorry for the folks who were old. People in Providence needed clean water to drink. The city bought 5 villages. People had to sign with pen and ink. Some folks were born there. Some lived there for years. They just couldn't seem to shake off their tears. When a lawyer told them the city had condemned the land, They were bewildered and couldn't understand. To the scene of my childhood I returned one day. I had a lump in my throat. It was difficult to keep the tears away. As I observed each loving place, it didn't look the same. Tears filled my eyes as I passed the old country lane. I saw the road that led to a house where we children used to play. We spent many happy hours there every rainy day. I saw the root cellar still in its place, and once again tears rolled down my face. Going to the old church, I walked through snow and rain. Oh, if I could only relive those days again. I saw the remains of the mill that stood in the center of town. I can't describe the heartache when they tore it down. If I close my eyes, I can see them today, one by one, each family moving away. Friends and neighbors move far apart. Another family moved, another broken heart. I go back now and then, the foundations are still there. I turn around and walk away, in my heart a silent prayer. We all know the reservoir has been there many years, and I still believe it was filled with the people's tears.
It's like they demolished a nation.
Yeah. Now, on my mom's farm, there's a road called Tunk Hill Road. On one side, it's all water. On the other side, her farm was up on top of a hill.
Yeah.
So it didn't get flooded. So I know where this rock is that she's standing on.
That's your mom?
That's my mom when she was 8 years old.
8 years old.
Yep. What I did was, this was right in her front yard,
Yeah.
a little to the right of the building. What I did was 90 years later, I took my daughter back and stood her on the same rock, which is her granddaughter. Now, in this book, I have the two pictures side by side
Yeah.
with her on the rock and my...
Well, you have taken this one. We were talking with Ray Wolf, and he's an author as well as a tour guide. Now we're getting into the other stuff here. You took this even further because you are not. You've got your hand in all kinds of places. The historical, everything. You're a tour guide. Tell us what you did with that.
Okay, well, people. I have a following that they want to know when my next book is coming out.
Well, yeah, I'm like that with authors.
And I sprinkle all of her verses throughout the book, too, pertaining to the pictures. And I had someone say to me, Ray, you ought to do a tour around the reservoir showing people where these places used to be.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, gee, that's a great idea. Then I got involved doing the West Warwick book and forgot about it. The following year, I had somebody say the same thing. And I said, somebody said that last year. So I went home, I grabbed the map of Scituate, and I said, okay, if I start out in Hope, there's a Hope Elementary School, and they allow me to use their parking lot to start at. So I said, okay, if I go up 116, I could talk about this, I could talk about this, I could talk about this. And I went around the reservoir, and it was 35 points that I could talk about.
Right.
So I
like
said,
a duck tour in Boston.
Yes. So that Monday night, I had a meeting at the Patuxent Valley Historical Society. I brought a pad and pen. I explained what I had done, that somebody had requested I do this. I said, I have no idea what it will cost. I have no idea how long it will take. But here's a pad and a pen. If you have any interest whatsoever, fill it out.
I can see the salesman in you. Oh, you are good. Oh, I grew up with this mentality. I'm right there with you every minute.
And I'll get back to you.
Oh, yeah. Persistence,
So that night at the end of the meeting, I had 17 people sign up.
I'll bet.
So I said, okay. So I went to the...
Where'd you get the trolley to do this?
So I went to the senior center, and I said, could I use the senior bus? They hold like 12 people.
Where's his picture? Hold up.
Which one?
Hold up the picture. No, the picture of the bus.
Oh.
Hold that up. I don't know. Glenn probably can't not get it. But anyways, it's a picture of this trolley, this bus.
There you go. Right there.
Right there?
That's good.
Okay.
All right.
But
And
this is not the bus I used.
No.
Okay, I used the senior center bus, the little 12-passenger deal.
That's a little dude, yeah.
Yes. And I filled it up twice, and I still had people that wanted to go.
So they were waiting while the other tour went on.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of gathered it would be maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour tour. So I set one at 10 o'clock and I set one at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And like I said, I filled them both up and I had people wanting to go. So I did it again. Mm-hmm. Or I was going to do it again. So I went back to the senior center and I said, I'd like to do another tour. Well, now it's becoming a habit and I don't know if we can do this. And I said, forget it.
Yeah.
So I went to Patuxent Valley Bus Lines, which had been bought out by Archway, and I said, I need a bus. How much is it going to be? and I rented a bus. Now, the bus holds 31 people.
Yeah, so now you don't have to make as many.
Well, I got to fill this thing now.
Well, yeah, but you could fill it all at one time. They don't have to wait in line for the next trip.
Well, it ended up, I not only filled it, I did a 10 o'clock, a 12 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, and a 4 o'clock. Then I did it again in April. Then I did it again in May.
Yeah,
I took the summer off. I did it in October twice.
yeah.
And I keep filling them up, and I have people that want to go. They got a wedding this day, they can't go, or they're going to be out of town, or whatever.
What year did you start this? The trolley tour?
That I started in 2011.
So are you up there? Let me picture. I'm sitting in the bus,
Yes.
and you're up there with a mic.
Yeah,
And
I
you
actually
take-
have headphones now.
Well, how are you going to hear it if one of the passengers asks you, what are we looking at?
Well, the headphone's only on one side.
Oh, okay. So you're standing up and you're guiding people along. I've been on things like that.
Yes.
And you're a natural for it.
Well, what I do is at the beginning of the tour, I pass out a 2-page itinerary, which I include in the
Does
DVD.
everybody get car sick?
Okay, so they can follow me,
Oh,
or they can take the tour themselves
yeah.
later.
Yeah.
I pass out a color map showing where the roads used to be.
Did you design that yourself?
I just took a map, cut it up, and I put in the roads where they used to be.
So they know exactly where they're going.
Yep. And if you buy the DVD, there's also a 5x7 picture of my mom's church. Now, this church is maybe 20 feet off the road, if that.
Yeah.
I stopped the bus right at pole 254,
Yeah.
and I say, you see that foundation right there?
Yeah.
That used to be my mom's church. And I read the poem she wrote about her church.
That's good.
And then I have an 8x10 picture of her church,
Yeah.
and I walk down the aisle with the church showing this used to be on that foundation.
I bet you see a lot of mouths like mine go,
People say they never look at the reservoir the same way. I've
No.
had a number of people take my tour twice, and I've had one family take it 3 times.
now, can you tell the audience when
So
your
then
next-
somebody said it should be on DVD,
Well, yeah.
and that's what the DVD is
Well,
all about.
online too. Can you make it so that, or you want to keep it personal, like in the bus? You don't want to. How do I show this to you? Internationally online, you don't want to. Do you have a website? You have a website?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when's your next trip?
Well, I'm running out of people because I've taken 850 people.
You're running
So-
out of people?
Well, it's getting harder to fill the bus.
Really?
Yep. If I can't do 3 trips, I can't. The bus is almost $700
A month
for the day.
for the day?
Yes. Okay, so I have to fill this thing like 3-4 times to make it pay.
Can you buy one? What's with this rental? I'm sure there's some place that'd love to get rid of an old school bus.
Now, this is air conditioned, it's comfortable.
Well, buy fans,
It has a
you know, so-
microphone system on board, intercom, what have you. But I've ended up buying my own microphone system where I can have a headset.
Yeah.
I'm not connected to a microphone type thing, so I can just talk because I've got papers. When I put the tour together, and I found that I had 35 points I could talk about, I said, okay, what do I do between this point and that point?
Yeah. You schmooze with your audience.
I'm going to have a big blank spot. What do I do?
No,
Twiddle my
no,
thumb?
you won't. You're a salesman. You know what to do. You
So I-
talk. You get to know people in the bus.
No, I read one of my mom's poems.
Okay, that too. You schmooze.
So between the dead spots,
Yeah.
I read one of her poems. They absolutely love it.
Oh, yeah.
They love my mom's poetry, and she was there. She lived it. She wrote just how she felt, and it just ties the whole thing together. I've had comments, emails sent to me that when people read my hip books, it's not like a normal history book that's
No.
facts and figures or what have you. My mom's poetry brings the books alive.
What it also feels, setting aside mom's poetry, it feels almost sci-fi to me when a village disappears. Again, Ray Wolf, and he is an author and a tour guide from Rhode Island, and it's about Scituate, his mom's poems. He just melds everything together. When's your next ride, your next tour? Can you tell us? We have about 1 minute left.
AAA had an editor come with me on my October tour. They're doing an article in the AAA Horizons.
Okay.
Either in March or April, I don't know. So it's going to be either March or April.
Again, let the audience know how they can get to you.
Yes. Simplest thing is go to my website, www.raywolfnoebooks.com.
Excellent. I'm amazed. I mean, I wish my dad was here. Did he know you were into this? Or
No, not at all.
This was all
I didn't know I
happened.
was going to be into it.
Thank you so much for being on.
You're
now,
welcome.
you got more books coming up?
I'm going to do The Lost Village of Rockland. I'm back doing
All right.
my original book.
Okay.
And then I have another one called The Diary of Love Poems.
Okay. Are you going to continue with your guided tours?
Oh, yes.
Good. Thank you so much, Ray.
Thank you, Jan.
We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea.